Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Happy 2019.
Happy New Year.
Yes, indeed. We are very happy to kick off the new year of interviews with a local Nashville artist named Soren Bryce. We're super excited about her music, and about the interview. So, hope you guys like it.
Ocean face on the carpet smells just like you. Nicotine daydreams, color of my coffee. Need something between my teeth just to feel loose. I'm a fall asleep. I'm a fall asleep with you. I'm a fall asleep. I'm a fall asleep with you.
All right, awesome. So, do you want to just start us off by talking about how you first got into music and your relationship with music from the beginning?
Yeah, so I guess I got started in music. I want to say 11. I was in 5th grade, and we had to pick an elective, and I picked orchestra just because I needed an elective, and I didn't want to do choir, ironically, which is so strange. But I guess I've always just been more on the musical side of everything, so I picked a violin, and then I only had to take it for that 1 year, but I kept doing it through high school, like middle school and high school. And I was in like a competitive orchestra, and then when it came time to decide whether to go to college or not, and I had already been kind of writing my own music around 15, 16 is when I started working on my own music. I had decided, like, I was going to maybe go to school for violin, and I just decided to not go to school at all and, like, keep writing and trying to, like, make a path that way. So it's been kind of a weird, like, upward growth, but...
That's awesome. So, you said you started writing when you were 11?
I started playing violin when I was around 11. That's kind of like my exposure to music for the first time. And then I taught myself guitar when I was 14 or so. And then I started writing songs around that point. So like 15, I want to say is like when I first started writing.
Okay. You released your first EP in 2015. How old were you when that came out?
I think I was 8. I had just turned 18 when that came out.
Oh, wow. Okay, nice.
Yeah. It was like right after high school, I remember.
That's awesome.
Crazy.
It is. I mean, that's a huge transition age, but it's nice to know that you were like, this is something I'm committed to. I want to put this out, and I have the sound that I want.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, I live my life in such extremes that it's kind of hard to, like, really sum it up in any sort of way. When I was 16, I moved out of my parents, and I moved to LA, and I got my GED. So I have a GED and a diploma, which is so stupid. I was like independent and like living out there by myself when I was like 16, and then I moved back in with my parents my senior year, what would have been my senior year of high school, and decided to go back to school and have like more of a normal life. And that's when I wrote and recorded my first EP that I did. That was like the self-titled one. I was going back and forth between New York and LA, and then I moved to New York the day after I graduated high school.
Oh my God.
And did my next record. Yeah, it's pretty weird.
That's so awesome, though.
I think about it now and it stresses me out. I'm like, like I can barely like be in one place now. Like,
oh my God, no, I feel it. Yeah, especially going all the way across the country. Do you like LA or New York? Do you prefer one or the other when it comes to recording?
I hated living in LA. I don't think it's necessarily LA's fault. I just hated living there. I was also like a teenager, so like I couldn't really do anything fun. Like, I was in my parents' house and I couldn't go out and like network or do anything like that. Like, I couldn't go to shows. I was just like, because I was under 21, I couldn't do anything. But when I lived in New York, I turned 21 when I was living in New York, and I don't know. Also New York is just like, that's my heart. Like, I'm gonna move back there. Like, that's where I want to live. It's just like so expensive.
Oh yeah.
And it was nice to live there for the time that I was able to. But
yeah.
So
we definitely get some like Gordy, Imogen Heap, Daughter, Maggie Rogers kind of vibes from your sound.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah. So I guess how did you find that sound, and was it through some of your major musical influences, and who would they be?
It's pretty weird. I feel like even between my EP and my last record that I put out, a lot of things changed, and then now I'm making like punk rock music, so it's like it's hard for me. Yeah, I like scream, but I guess like my earlier stuff, like my last record, I was definitely listening to a lot of Radiohead. I was listening to a lot of James Blake, like his first record that he did, and Overgrown, and yeah, I was very much more into the whole synth pop wave that was happening at that time, and that kind of influenced like the record that I made, because it was just like, I mean, now it's kind of overdone and old, but in like 2014, 2015, it was like a new thing for like female artists to like make dope sounding electronic pop records. And I think that definitely influenced like the direction that I went in. Instead of just doing another like singer-songwriter folk type record, I wanted to like experiment more with sonic stuff.
I mean, it definitely is. It's just huge. How did you even imagine that sound?
So weird. I mean, I was working with this guy, Justin Pilbrow, who he did like Halsey's last record and The Neighborhood's last record, and he's like a very seasoned guy, but he kind of let me just take the reins on a lot of it, and he would just like sit back and let me like do a lot of the engineering and playing, and I played everything except drums. But he very much was there to help guide me. I call him like my musical dad, but he would get really mad if he heard it. He's like a Kiwi, New Zealander dude, really big. He's got like a good heart though, very soft on the inside. He at the beginning of the process, he was like, I know this seems like a very big mountain to climb to get all of this done, but you just have to take it one day at a time, and then you'll start to feel it. Like, and I did, like, by the fourth week, I was like, I see the top of the mountain, and I see how we're going to get there. But I would say that going into making the record, I had no fucking idea that it was going to sound the way that it did. We just, like, threw a bunch of stuff at the wall and, like, tried to keep what we thought was a good fit, and what didn't, we just, like, cut. But we ended up cutting a lot of songs, too. Like, I brought in 40 songs to demo, and we only got like 13 out of that, so it's a long, grueling process making a record.
It's hard too, because I think once you start writing songs and then you go to make an album, you're sitting on an arsenal of like 10 years or like 5 years of songs that you've written, and so it's so hard to whittle them down.
Yeah, and some of them changed too. Like, there was one that I was certain was going to be on the record. Like, I was like, this is an album song. And it got cut. Like, I didn't like it as much as the other songs. So it's like, you never know until they're done, really, what is going to stay. Yeah. And then some songs, like, I have a song coming up on my next EP that just went to mastering this week, that I wrote, like, in 2013, that I just, like, rehashed and, like, changed some of the lyrics. It's so weird.
Did you find yourself cutting the songs more based off of the way it flowed sonically or off of subject matter?
I would say we tried to focus on both. I definitely think that there was a underlying theme in the whole record, even if it's just like a vague, like, these are all introspective songs in which I like examine myself. But yeah, there was definitely like an overarching theme, and that was maybe why we cut. There was a song called Fake Friends that we cut, and it just didn't seem to fit with everything. And now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, yeah, it was more about like me interacting with other people. It's not necessarily like my thoughts about how I process things. Wow. See, you guys helped me realize.
No, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we love the record, is because it's so introspective, and it's talks a lot about, you know, isolation and just working those things out, working out the external things internally. And I think that's it's just so cool.
Yeah. And I love how it's like a very like dreamy kind of like soundscape, you know, and it kind of like juxtaposes the heavy lyrical content. Actually, one song in particular that stood out to me was I'll See on a Rough Flight, which yeah,
that's my favorite one, probably.
I read that you wrote it about your struggle with derealization. Would you want to talk about that a little bit and kind of how that affects your songwriting?
It's so weird. So I have sort of a dissociative disorder. I don't know if you guys like know much about anything like that. Not a lot of people do, really. So normalized. A lot of people have it and don't even realize that they do. But it's very mild, but it does affect me. Like, it's just, basically, if you think about, like, zoning out, and if you zone out and you're really tired, but it's like that all the time, every day, for me. So it's very hard for me to, like, be connected to other people if I'm not trying really, really hard. It's a lot of, like, mental workouts. But, so on planes, it gets really, really, like, weird, because you're, like, on a plane with no contact to anyone, and it's just silent. Or you just get very in your head when you're on a plane. At least I do. Especially if they don't have, like, the stupid TVs on this. So I was just on a plane and in the aisle seat, and it was having really bad turbulence, and I was flying into Nashville for the first time ever. Like, it was my first time to ever come to Nashville. And I was just, like, got my mental gears turning, and I wrote that song. Yeah. It's so funny, too. Like, I mean, I wrote that song such a long time ago, and it's just so crazy to, like, you feel like you know what it's about in the moment, and then like a couple of years go by and you're like, wait, what? Why did I write that song again? What is it about?
Yeah, it makes you re-examine it a little bit.
Kind of just like forget the lyrics because they become so natural to you, especially when you're touring a lot. You're just like, okay, this is just mechanics at this point. Like, I'm not thinking about what I'm saying, really.
No, I think it's super interesting because I know that Adam from Counting Crows, he talks about having Derealization too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Right, like perfect blue buildings. You're like, yeah.
I think a lot of artists have a form of disassociative, because it is a part of your brain that just like makes you be able to disconnect in a way that makes you a very creative person, but it also makes it sort of hard to function sometimes.
I think it's good because it makes you almost more introspective with yourself because you can't relate as much to other people or like have struggle relating to other people. So then you're like more focused inward. You know, makes you more reflective in a way.
Yeah, it's like constant, just like you're watching a television of your life, and you're just thinking about everything that happened. Which it's helped my art a lot. So I can't really complain, and I'm used to it, and everyone around me knows about it. So it's like people know if I'm like zoning out, they're like, "Hey, come back! You're doing that thing again."
I don't know. Art requires, I think, as much interaction as it does severance from reality.
It's true.
You've got to be able to step outside of it.
If you're constantly in the, like, especially things that I write about, like, if I was constantly living in those situations, like, I would never write about them because they would just become normalized to me. I would say I'm very extroverted. Like, I don't have a lot of trouble, like, really, like, surface level connecting with people, and I don't have any issue with, like, I used to have a lot more social anxiety than I do now. I think a part of it was just becoming more sure of, like, the person that I am and being more confident in myself, which is something that I got from being in my 20s. It's like, you can't really help it when you're a teenager. But I also am a very introverted person, so even though I love being out and talking to a bunch of people, it does drain me quite a bit, and I have to, like, have my alone space.
Yeah, no, for sure. Also, another song that I wanted to touch upon was Houses with Ugly Wallpaper.
Yeah.
I love the title. How did you come up with that, and how did that song come about?
A lot of songs on that record were about my ex, or like my interaction with being in that relationship specifically. And that song specifically was about how we always had trouble communicating in a way that we could see each other just as human beings and as people, and not like these two people that were like so intertwined in each other's lives that we couldn't, like, everything that we did affected each other, and which was just not healthy. And so I kind of got this idea of, like, I wonder if your brain is like a house, and if you put wallpaper around it and you try to cover up the ugly things, maybe we could just like coexist in this house.
That's an awesome idea.
It's kind of a weird metaphor, but it made sense to me at the time.
No, it totally makes sense. I think that's so cool.
I'm trying to think of some of the lyrics. Like, some of the lyrics I know are, like, keep you off the blacklist, and, like basically, like, let me keep your secrets, let me cover up all the ugly things, and we can just coexist in this, like, house with wallpaper around it.
Have you seen The Haunting at Hill House?
No, but I want to because I love everything scary.
Oh my gosh, it's genius. It's on Netflix, but it essentially centralizes around that exact same metaphor of a house is essentially the heart and the core and, like, the stomach and the body that, and all the people that live in it are, like, its children, and it's supposed to feed them and cultivate love and everything. And
whoa. I want to see this.
Yeah, and it's just, like, you watch it deteriorate and what happens when it gets haunted. It's fascinating.
It affects the things. Wait, what's it called? I'm going to write it down.
But that song literally feels like it should be in it.
Be in it. Yeah, no, for sure.
Maybe we could do a creepy minor version.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have my people talk to their people.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're having a season 2, so for sure.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that I know I struggle with, and I think a bunch of other people who are musicians struggle with or artists struggle with, is confidence with breaking into just the music industry, if you will, or even having the confidence enough to put music out there and to gain the support of other people while doing it. And you came into it pretty young. So did you struggle with that at all, or did you just know from the get-go that you were doing the right thing?
I mean, I would say I still struggle with it. It's hard to know, really, in this industry, like, when you've made it comfortably enough to just say, this is what I do. I mean, I still have to work a normal job, and I still have to do a bunch of other things that aren't what I would like to be doing. But I don't know. It's hard. When I was 18 and I signed my deal, it seemed like that was like, this is it. This is like the upward thing that's going to start. But there's so many hills and valleys that come along with that. And it's not necessarily just like one thing that kicks it off. Sometimes it's like a bunch of things that kick you up a little and then you go down a little, and it's so crazy. And it's just like, especially now with everyone being DIY and the internet, even, it's like, it's hard to kind of follow that traditional structure of like, get signed, put out a EP, put out a record, get on a tour. Like, there's so many different ways that you can just kind of get fame and notoriety now that it's hard to know where to attack from, because you could attack from like 47 different fronts. Just become like a YouTube mukbang star and get my following. It's crazy, and people will do that. People will do whatever they think will get traction for themselves, and that always just makes me laugh. I'm not very big on like the internet. I don't really like using social media. I do it just so I can keep people updated on like my life and what I'm doing. But other than that, I just don't get it. Like, I don't get all the kids that are like famous for being just people. Like, I don't know. I guess I just come from a more traditional background of like, you need to work hard to like be successful, and like you have to work to earn everything that you get. And to see all these like tweeny bop people just getting like thousands and thousands of followers for just being human beings, it kind of irks me a little. So I have to like stay off of Instagram a lot.
It's bizarre too, because it's people pay celebrities and stuff to post photos of them with stuff. And I'm like, that's so weird. Like you said, you wouldn't just pay someone because they're just being who they are.
Right.
They're just a person, and they have a lot of, I guess they call them influencers or something.
Yes, yeah. We were watching the Fire.
Why?
Why exactly?
We were watching the Fire Festival documentary.
Oh my god, me and my boyfriend just watched that.
It's so good, but so bad.
It's so terrible. That guy, I just wanted to slap him the entire time.
Right?
Oh my god, he just.
That's what some of these kids are growing up to be. Is that guy?
I know.
It's true. He was like, no, I want to do this, and like didn't.
I'm just gonna do this and lie and do whatever to make myself look like a big enough person.
Yeah, and it's just so dangerous. And then they were literally paying all those influencers, like, what did like Kylie Jenner make, like, or Kendall Jenner make $250,000 off of posting a picture of an orange background?
I'm like, can you just take that and divide it up into $1,000 for everyone, please?
Right?
That's all
that we want. Yeah.
No, it's ridiculous. But it does make it hard to get things then out of this archaic, ridiculous society that are pure and that are good and that are honest.
I mean, I hate to say that it's like who you know or whatever, but sometimes that is really the only thing that can help you sometimes is like knowing a certain person. Like, I mean, all the tours I did last year were just because I knew people, and I'm about to leave for tour in a week, and it's just because I know the guy.
People,
like, I mean, I met all those people through my uphill struggle of trying to do this. So.
Right, like you've been working at it. Yeah.
It takes a long time. I've heard that it takes like 10 years, and I'm on like year 8, so I know that it's not really up to me. It's like not really up to anyone.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can have the best record in the fucking world, and if it doesn't catch, like, you can't.
It's interesting because you spent time in New York, you spent time in LA, and now you're kind of in the middle-ish with with Nashville.
It's a lot easier to tour out of here, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So, how has that impacted kind of your access to either new artists, music? Have you done any recording here?
Yeah, the next record I'm about to put out is in mastering this week, and it's the first record I've like co-produced and done pretty much everything. I paid for everything. I played everything, and asked my friends to, like, help me make it, as in, like, they played some drum parts and, like, some guitar parts and stuff. But overall, I, like, was the one that was paying for everything, and it felt really good to just be like, I can do this, I don't need a label, because I'm not on a label anymore.
It's kind of nice. It's a nice level of freedom and autonomy there. You can do whatever you want, you're not being held to. And
it was so cheap. Like, I think I spent maybe less than $1,000. And then the guy I co-produced it with, his name's Austin Thomas. He has his own project called Spooky Ghost Boy. We did it together, and he uses Logic, so.
I saw you perform live at Vinyl Tap a couple months ago.
I left all my cables there. Did she tell you that? So
no way.
In Canada. I'm in Canada. On the first night of our tour, and I'm like, I don't have any of the cables. And so I have to drive to, like, a music store and spend $100 Canadian to, like, replenish. So now I have 2 of everything. These Canadian brand, like, DIs.
That's amazing.
I know.
Hey,
I deserved it.
In case you lose it, though, you always have a backup now.
Yeah.
I know, yeah, now I probably have, like, 4 or 5 cables each just because of that reason.
Yeah. So when I saw you play, it was Acoustic, which was really cool because I, like, went to hear your album. It was more like ethereal, like, dreamy soundscape. So to hear that juxtaposed to your seeing you live doing Acoustic was really cool. So do you prefer playing acoustic like that, or kind of replicating the sound of your album live?
I've tried it a variety of different ways. My live setup, I mean, right now it's been working really well just because I'm moving into this, like, just sort of full band vibe. It's a lot easier to, like, write out parts and everything. But I would say I've been preferring to play everything acoustic that I write acoustically, because it just feels more true to the song to, like, play solo what I wrote, like, in my bedroom. And I did try the live setup with, like, all the tracks and the visuals and, like, me playing a bunch of keyboards and synths and stuff, and it just was so stressful. I didn't have fun at all. I didn't enjoy playing. It would actually just stress me out to know I had a show. Like, now I really, really, really love playing. Like, I enjoy the show itself, and I'm more present and, like, in the show. And the whole time I was playing just, like, keys and tracks and stuff, I would be stressed about my computer crashing or, like, it messing up something. Like, it was just so stressful.
Well, as a listener, I have to say that I really enjoyed hearing the acoustic and then hearing the album on Spotify, because I, like, it kind of felt special in a way where I was like, oh, I got to hear her live, like, do the acoustic version. So
it's always good to have options available to you.
Hey, Pedro the Lion.
The problem is I write so much that, like, I will play sets and people will come and want to hear, like, a specific thing, and then I don't end up playing it, and then people get kind of upset. But I don't know, when I play shows like that, I just try to, like, play new stuff or, like, stuff that I want to play, because I feel like I want to enjoy it, and I just write so much. Like, I want to be able to, like, play everything.
Yeah, no, of course. And you can't make everybody happy, you know?
Yeah.
So how have you been liking touring?
Is this your first tour that you've gone on?
No, I've been touring since about 2015. It's so weird. I kind of worked backwards. Like, I was on a label, so I did a couple big tours, which was how I actually met From Indian Lakes, which is the band I'm going out with next week. I'm not going as myself. I'm going and playing keys in his band, but
that'll be fun.
Really fun. Yeah, it's gonna be so fun to, like, not have to worry about anything. And we're opening for Copeland, which, like, I'm a huge fangirl of them.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's gonna be exciting.
It's going to be so fun to just, like, not have to be the tour manager and band manager and be driving everywhere and paying for everything. Like, it'll be so nice. But, anyway, when I did the couple big tours I did in 2015, that was kind of how I got started in the touring world. And then that next year, 2016, I did a couple DIY tours where I paid for everything. And then I did more last year that were DIY as well, but more on a bigger scale. Like, I just joined my buddy Darwin D's in October of last year. But I was DIY still. I was, like, paying for everything and having to tour manage, and it gets really stressful if you don't have the money. People to, like, delegate to.
That's amazing that you're going on tour with From Indian Lakes.
I toured with them in 2015. Joey did, like, an acoustic tour, and I opened for him and played acoustic, and so we just became good friends, and we've stayed in touch, and he ended up moving to New York, like, a few years ago, and so I was able to hang out with him and his wife, and, like, we've just stayed friends, and it's good to have friends that will, like, take you with them jam along to cool places.
Yeah. I would, like, imagine it's more fun to tour with friends.
Especially if you're going to be doing, like, the DIY touring thing where you're all just sleeping on, like, couches and floors. Yeah. And you're just with each other all the time. You're going to want to be with people that you know and like.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
And if you don't know them, then you will get to know them. Like, my last tour with Darwin that I did, I brought 2 new guys that I met on Craigslist. But now the bass player is like my best friend. Oh, that's and the drummer is such a good person. Like, I'm so glad I met them. But that tour is what made us friends. Like,
that's amazing. Wow, Craigslist, the most dangerous game.
New girlied it.
I know. Well, I posted an ad in the music section and was like, I need a bass player and a drummer for this tour. I'm looking for people that aren't necessarily like for hire. I want people that are more going to be like part of my new project and be like team players and not get paid that much money.
Yeah.
Basically what I meant. And they're both so down. They just want to play music and they really are supportive of me and all of my new stuff. So yeah, I'm glad I met them.
That's
I'm glad
awesome.
I know Austin too. He's really been such a help for all the new stuff.
So it sounds like you guys are doing some new stuff. Is that going to be coming out in 2019 or?
That is our plan. Right now we're trying to shop the record. That's why we're getting it mastered. We're trying to shop it to a few labels. Like I tried shopping it to New West. And I'm really into Domino, and now I think we're going to start shopping it overseas. So, like, we're going to try and go to the UK in the summer, and which I'm really excited about because I've never been. My manager is trying to set up some meetings for me in London, and I'm like, I want to go.
Yes.
I'll pay whatever.
Yeah.
Get me to London.
I really think that the new stuff would do well in the UK just because there's been kind of an oversaturation of rock bands in the US lately. So I think if I could break into that market, I think that would be really cool.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Especially just like doing this new stuff that's like super grungy. It's been really fun.
I'm so intrigued. So it's so can you give us like sonic parallels? What is it going to sound like?
I don't know if you guys like listen to Radiohead at all, but like I would say more of their early stuff like Pablo Honey and like The Bends and like OK Computer even is a good reference. It's just more noisy and a little more dirty and not necessarily as clean as my last record. And it's definitely got like way more guitar on it. And I'm only playing electric guitar now live. And I play acoustic sometimes, but I'm not playing keys really at all live, which is so weird. I hope people can transition with me. I know I kind of live and one of the first singles that's going to come out, I think, is about how I live my life in such extremes and can never like find a happy medium between things. But I think a lot of people can relate to that too. So I'm hoping people can kind of see where I'm coming from and where I'm at right now and just embrace that and just like embrace me as a human being and not just like a song making machine, you know?
Yeah,
no, of course.
I mean, I think personally, like one of the most exciting things for me is when I watch an artist that I like change and I can hear the growth in it and the different influences. Like I love that. Like Foxing's new album is so different from their first album, but it's because they're pulling influences from like Bowie and stuff like that. And it's different, but it's great because you're like growing with them as a fan, and then you learn to like new stuff.
Well, what's great too is like I'm at such a low level of my career that I feel like if I change my sound a lot right now, then it's a little bit easier than if I was like more established. I think I have like my true fans that have like been there since like my first EP. But what's funny is like those people are very supportive of me like changing and doing what I really want to do. So I think it'll be fine. Just, you know, when you're a creator, like that's one of the big anxieties in the back of your mind. Like I hope people like this new thing that I'm doing. Honestly, I feel like it is a truth that if you're just being genuine and honest and making what is really where you are at the time, then people will relate to it. You can't force something like that.
Yeah,
no, I agree.
All right. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to add or say before we go into the rapid fire round?
Not much. Just that I'm playing a show on February 1st. It's a very last minute show. That was kind of set up last minute, but I wanted to be able to play a show with everyone before I left for a while with this other band.
Brains cannot collide. They just take up space sometimes. Feeling silence with your face, playing tricks on me. Will you ever real? Will you ever real?
This is rapid fire round. Like, what are you gonna ask?
We just ask you. We say it's rapid fire, but it's the questions I think are.
You can take your time.
Yeah.
Take your time with them.
Cool.
But it's just our top 10 favorite questions.
I'm at the Family Feud buzzer, baby.
Amazing.
Yes.
Steve Harvey's ready.
Oh, God.
Okay, so what's your go-to song to listen to when you find yourself in a state of either internal or external chaos?
Oh, probably any song from Dismemberment Plan's first record. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the one that came out, I think, in 99. I really like Spider in the Snow, and I really like What Do You Want Me to Say. They're just, like, so chaotic and loud, and I've been in a punk phase lately, so, anything off of Pup's record, The Dream Is Over. That song, The Coast, it just gets me so amped. I'm, like, headbanging in my car, and everyone's watching.
I love it. What's one song that you wish that you wrote?
Oh, fuck. Any song by Radiohead, probably I don't even know how to say it. It's like Miaximatosis or something like that. I really like that song. I really like, Elohim, too, right now. I was listening to her a lot, too, and I was working on my last record. She does more, like, electronic pop stuff, but she wrote this song called Xanax that's so good. Like, the chorus is so simple and to do, honestly. And the whole verse just leads up to, like, describing what anxiety is like. And she's like, do you feel it? And then the chorus is just like, every day of my life, every day of my life. I'm like, man,
that hits home, yeah.
I feel that. Like, I feel you.
Yeah. What's your favorite city that you've toured in?
Oh, man. Honestly, Davenport, Iowa is a very, very cool place. I know it sounds weird. Sean Moeller lives there. He's the guy who started Daytrotter. And he doesn't own it anymore. He sold it to Paste Magazine, actually.
Wow.
But so I met him through Daytrotter, but he now has, like, a myriad of venues in Davenport, and he runs, like, a bunch of festivals. And anytime he asks me to come play, I go, because he's just such a tastemaker for that scene. And it's cool because it's, like, Iowa is right in the middle of the country between, like, Omaha and Ohio. So it's, like, a perfect spot to stop in between.
Yeah.
And it's got a good market. Like, people care. People in the Midwest really care about music and live music.
If you could score the soundtrack to a book, what book would you choose?
Oh, man. So it's such a weird story. I've been reading, I found this book on the street in New York called The Year of Endless Sorrows. And I hope that Adam hears this. But it's written by this guy named Adam Rapp. And I had posted a picture of me reading it on my story, and I guess one of my followers knows him. And so they sent the story to him, and he followed me, and we just started chatting, and I was like, dude, I love your book. Like, it's basically a book about this guy who moves to New York from the Midwest to try and be a book publisher. I think it's kind of like sort of a biography about his life in a way. But just the way he describes New York and, like, the sounds and the smells and the seasons, like, it's just so beautifully written. So I would definitely want to soundtrack that if it ever became a movie.
That's awesome.
And I think I have the end since I know Adam now.
Yeah, I know for sure. What is your dream collaboration?
Probably Thom Yorke. I know I keep saying Radiohead, but they've been such a big part of my whole musical life that if I even got to meet him, I would just die. I have him tattooed on me. Like, it's really not okay.
That's amazing. If you were a music festival, what music festival would you be?
Wow, that's a good question. The only one I've ever played is South by Southwest, but I wouldn't want to be that one because it's very disorganized. But maybe I am that one because I'm disorganized. I know Bonner is really cool. I've just never been. Oh, wait, I've been to Panorama, and that was really fun. It's in New York. It's on this island called Randall's Island. So the only way you can get there is by taking a ferry or taking a cab. And it's, like, way uptown. Like, I think it's an island between the Bronx and, like, Upper West Side. And it's just so cool because it's just a small island where they set up, like, a bunch of stages. And I saw Tame Impala there. And it's just very much just about the music. Like, there's not anything really else there. Like, there's no, like, art or, like, pop-up booths for things. It's just, like, they've got food and drinks and then the music. And I think that's really cool. Simple.
What's a favorite lyric that you've written?
Oh, my gosh. I don't know. I always want to say, like, the ones that I just recently wrote because they're what I'm feeling. But sometimes I'll listen to my music and I'll be like, oh, that was a good lyric. Good job. Oh, I just wrote this song called Silhouette, and the opening lyric is, "My silhouette is my best friend, reminds me I'm alive. I take up space and light, running on food and electrolytes." I just really liked that.
Whoa, that's an amazing line.
I liked that imagery of, like, I'm in my room, I'm seeing my shadow, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's reminding me that I'm a person that's, like, taking up space in this planet.
Yeah. Damn. That's really, yeah.
Damn. And I've been playing that, we'll be playing that one live.
Mic drop.
Friday, but
yeah.
I've been playing that one live, like, working it into the set, so that's been really fun.
That's awesome. I can't wait to hear it. What's your favorite show that you've played?
Oh, man. I played this show at Madison Square Garden Theater. It was crazy. It was for, like, 5,000 people. I thought I was going to puke. Like, I was so nervous. And then, of course, I get through my whole... It was for this event, this WeWork event award thing.
Oh, hell yeah. I work at a WeWork.
Yeah, for this, like, thing called the Creator Awards. Macklemore was, like, the headliner, and then Dram was also playing, and then it was me. Like, we were the 3 musical acts. And because Madison Square Garden is unionized, once I set up my gear, I wasn't allowed to, like, touch it. Someone, like, stagehands had to wheel it out for me when I played my set, and they accidentally unplugged everything. So this is why I don't like computers, because I was playing like a MIDI piano. So I start my song, and all I hear is my vocal, and I'm like, wow, I hope they turn the piano up in the house. And then I'm like, oh wait, it's because I can only hear the piano in my in-ears. And I look down, and I'm like, oh, because my interface is unplugged. So I had to stop in front of 5,000 people and, like, restart and, like, figure out why it came unplugged. So now I think, honestly, that was good for me, because now I don't get nervous before anything. So, like, how could it be worse?
Right, that's true. Like, start from the bottom, you know?
Yeah.
Which artist or band do you think is criminally underrated?
Twin. Have you heard of them?
I don't think
Probably
so.
Not. They are this band that literally is homeless. Like, they, by choice, like, they just house it and travel in a van and tour constantly, so they don't have a place that they, like, live. Wow. But their music is so good, and it's because all they do all day is sit and work on music. Like,
that's amazing.
They released a record that's just, like, a live record of one of their shows, and it's so good.
That's commitment to the craft.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And finally, if your music was a type of food, what food would it be?
Definitely something spicy, like Indian.
Nice.
Yep.
I can see that.
Like a nice curry, yeah.
Yeah.
A nice curry with some rice.
Yeah.
I don't know why, it just speaks to me.
Yeah.
I think that works.
No,
yeah.
I think I could see that. Yeah. Also, where can everybody find your music and, you know, all that stuff?
Right now, everything is just under Soren Bryce on my website and Instagram and all that jazz.
Awesome.
Spotify.
Perfect.
Well, that wraps up everything that we wanted to ask you. So thank you so much for doing this with us.
This was so fun.
Yeah, I'm so glad we were able to do it.
Thanks for asking questions that are, like, cool questions.
I'm not like one, I don't like to let me be a flower on the wall, crawling on the wall, all supernatural. It's cold, smells like soggy paper dolls, but the arms are falling off, all falling off. Oh, what it all comes down to, I could be the one who shelters all your secrets, keeps you off the blacklist. If you'd only let these freezing ugly memories fade into the background, wallpaper your mind out. I'll stay outside. Flower on the wall, flat flower on the supernatural. Flower on the wall, flat flower on the supernatural.
All right. Well, that wraps up the interview. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to follow Soren on all things social media, and also follow us on social media, on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that jazz. If you are in the Nashville area, be sure to stop by Soren's show on February 1st. She'll be playing at Tempo. And yeah, hope to see you there. Until next time.